Everybody, your boy Technosis here, about to light a fire. Why? Because it needs to happen. There's not enough light in the community, human community, as I see it, and it has to come down to a couple things. We have this really weird perception that somehow idolizing a few people while basically turning the rest into chump or like chump is just the best way to somehow run a country or live happily ever after or whatnot. And it comes to this equation. I'll look at it like this. It has to do with rockets, space travel. Literally, the reintroduction of space travel in the human community would be the relighting or the reinvigoration of the human soul for something better than squabbling over who gets this or that or who gets this or that. Honestly, right now, as it stands, it's like we're having one giant mental illness breakout across the entire country. I live in the United States, so that's what's up. And obviously, if you haven't noticed that, you must be living in a hole. And you must have been doing that since, like, before 2019. But I am digressing heavily. The point that I'm trying to get at here is rich billionaires aren't making the right moves, in my opinion. And if we could get proper communication to that little portion, the bourgeoisie, to the big thing of the proletariat, we actually could move somewhere, right? Or maybe we could just equalize. Really, I want to propose that we could just fix this all together, because the problem with rockets being big fuel tank with little bomb at the controlled explosion at the base and then payload at the top, this is exhausting of our resources, our imagination. It literally shoots hot gas out the back. Rockets are like the best rocket we've ever made, ever, was a Saturn V in the 1960s. And that's it. There's nothing ever going to get better. It's never going to get better than that. That was the height of rocket technology as it stands. If we are going to be efficient and make sense, okay? Doesn't make sense to keep making rockets because of that simple thing of exhaust, right? And it comes down to this one principle. The reason if SpaceX doesn't pull its head out of its bum and start making actual like space drives, space style drives or applicable space drives, that it's not really going to go anywhere as a company. And the whole concept of like Starlink with a bunch of satellites in the space, it's not going to be practical either, because you need a method of putting those satellites up there in the first place, or even moving them around while they're up there. Imagine, if you will, a method of moving yourself through space-time, or space, a method of moving yourself through space that doesn't require propellant. This is the reason we're having so many problems. You have to pile a bunch of explosive stuff so that it can propel itself into the sky. That's not how we should fly. It's just not how it should work. There's better ways. And I say it's like Bernoulli's principle of buoyancy and pressure, and then Faraday's equations of magnetism and electricity, combined with basically the Newtonian mechanics. I envision a machine with a giant flywheel that converts like rotational inertia into longitudinal inertia, and it does so with some sort of electrical coupling with the nearby ether. The concept of the ether is a big deal. I recommend you go look it up outside of this, because there's the whole video in that all by itself, and it's also extremely hard to talk about because it's so subtle. It's like the framework, or it's the ground material, or the base material that all things are made of. Ether in motion. And yeah, I propose that an ether drive would be definitely the only way to make human progress move forward, and it would probably be the reigniting of like the human spirit and adventure and all that other good stuff that we want. And it would stop us from being so concerned about not having money and being so resource distraught, and also having so many issues with meeting with people. Seriously, a flying saucer would revolutionize people getting together with other people. Imagine now, instead of just driving like a couple miles to your house, flying like a couple countries away just for the fun of it. And being able to do it in a very reasonable amount of time. And then no more clogged streets, because obviously that's terrible, because now you're in a three-dimensional plane. And maybe there's a three-dimensional, not a plane, because it doesn't make any sense. You're in a three-dimensional space instead of just traveling on a 2D plane. So you can't, you don't have to worry about occupying the same space nearly as much, because you can just go above or below them if they decided to stop in your way as you're trying to get home. I don't know. What am I saying? Billionaires are wasting their money trying to convince people to climb into a box, a terrible, horrible box where they get controlled and watched from every other angle. Instead of trying to invest in something cool that would, I don't know, otherwise liberate us as opposed to oppress us. I'm so tired of the oppression, technological oppression. I've been growing up in steadily increasing technological oppression, and it's been driving me nuts. As a person who likes technology, has been mildly obsessed with it my whole life. It's very disheartening when the people who you idolize, who are like engineers, go out of their way to make stuff to abuse you. Oh, I'm sorry, we have to get rid of the headphone jack. What? My expensive pair of nice wired headphones is now obsolete? Literally, why? And it's for things like that I'm it's stuff like that that's destroying the world, okay? Can I be dramatic? Come on. Alright, I've said enough today. Y'all have a good day. Be easy.